Welcome to Scoreflow. Manchester United's 24-25 was frayed nerves at home and thunder under the European lights, a campaign that kept growing until it carried real final stage weight. A new season started on the Wembley stage as United drew 1-1 with City in a tense Community Shield derby, only to bow out on penalties. Back in league business at Old Trafford, United edged Fulham 1-0 thanks to a late Xerxes winner. Hoping to keep the league rhythm, United fell 2-1 at Brighton to a late João Pedro goal after Diallo's equaliser. The response never came as Liverpool left Old Trafford with a bruising 3-0 scoreline, Diaz striking twice before Salah sealed it. United steadied themselves on the south coast, sweeping Southampton 3-0 with goals from De Ligt, Rashford and a late Garnacho. Cup duties brought a flood of goals at Old Trafford as Barnsley were routed 7-0 with braces for Rashford, Garnacho and Eriksen. League action resumed at Selhurst Park with a tight 0-0 that checked the momentum. Europe under the Old Trafford lights began with a 1-1 against Twente, Eriksen's opener cancelled after the break. Switching back to the league, United were outgunned 3-0 by Tottenham at Old Trafford in a sobering Big Six defeat. At the Estadio do Dragão, a wild European night finished 3-3, Maguire rescuing it late after Samu Omarodian's brace had turned United's early lead. At Villa Park, the league rhythm held with a measured 0-0. Home again, United came from behind to beat Brentford 2-1 through Garnacho and Højlund. In Istanbul, European focus returned as Eriksen's early strike sealed a 1-0 over Fenerbahce. After the Europa buzz, the come-down at London Stadium was real as West Ham edged it 2-1 with a last-minute penalty despite Casemiro's reply. Cup rhythm at Old Trafford broadcast brought a 5-2 over Leicester with doubles from Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes to reach the quarter-finals. Against Chelsea, the league meeting ended 1-1, Bruno Fernandes' penalty quickly cancelled by Caicedo. Back in Europe at Old Trafford, Diallo struck twice in a controlled 2-0 over PAOK. Shaking off the European high, United handled Leicester 3-0 at home, aided by a Christiansen own goal alongside Bruno and late Garnacho. Momentum stalled at Portman Road after Rashford's early opener, the contest settling at 1-1. European nights bit back as United overturned Bodo Glimt 3-2 at Old Trafford, Højlund's brace completing the comeback after an early shock. The league then brought a crisp 4-0 over Everton, with both Rashford and Xerxes helping themselves to doubles. Chasing momentum at the Emirates, United were picked off 2-0 by Arsenal through Timber and Saliba. Back at Old Trafford needing a lift, United were stung 3-2 by Nottingham Forest despite goals from Højlund and Bruno Fernandes. At Dusan Arena, Højlund's late second clinched a 2-1 comeback and took his Europa tally to 5. Derby drama at the Etihad saw United flip it late, a penalty from Bruno Fernandes and a stoppage-time Diallo strike turning City over 2-1. The Cup quarter-final against Tottenham swung wildly, but the hosts edged a 4-3 with Solanke's brace and a late Son strike despite United's stoppage-time reply. Back to the league. Old Trafford endured a bruising 3-0 reverse to Bournemouth. Seeking to halt the slide at Molineux, United instead fell 2-0 to Wolves, punctured by a late second. Under pressure back home, United were beaten 2-0 by Newcastle, with early goals setting the tone. Anfield brought a steadier display as Lisandro Martinez and Diallo earned a 2-2 draw against Liverpool. In the FA Cup at the Emirates, United drew 1-1 with Arsenal, then held their nerve in the shootout to reach round 4. Back in league play at Old Trafford, Diallo's late hat-trick overturned an own goal for a 3-1 win over Southampton. Hoping to build on that, United slipped to a 3-1 home defeat to Brighton despite Bruno's penalty. Europa League duties brought a 2-1 over Rangers, helped by an own goal before Bruno Fernandes settled it at the death despite a late scare. Lisandro Martinez's strike earned a tidy 1-0 at Fulham to keep the league points ticking over. To close the league stage, Dalot and Meno sealed a composed 2-0 at FCSB, stretching the Europa run to 5 straight wins. Back in domestic duty, Crystal Palace took a 2-0 at Old Trafford, Mateta striking twice with a late clincher. The FA Cup tie with Leicester turned United's way late, Zirkzee and a stoppage-time Maguire completing a 2-1 comeback into round 5. In a tight trip to Tottenham, Maddison's early finish decided a 1-0 against United. United steadied with a 2-2 at Goodison Park, Bruno Fernandes now into double figures, sparking the fight back before Ugarte levelled. Back at Old Trafford, a chaotic 3-2 over Ipswich featured a Morsey own goal and recovery from Philogeni's brace as De Ligt and Maguire completed the turnaround. The cup run ended at Old Trafford as a 1-1 with Fulham was followed by defeat in the shootout. At the Real Arena, the first leg finished 1-1, Zirkzee's effort matched by Oyarzábal's penalty. Back to league matters, United shared a 1-1 with Arsenal at Old Trafford. Bruno's strike cancelled out by Rice after the break. Old Trafford roared on a European night as United thumped Real Sociedad 4-1 to advance, Bruno Fernandes completing a hat-trick with 2 penalties before Dalot capped it late. After that surge, United kept it simple at the King Power Stadium with a tidy 3-0 over Leicester, rounded off by a late Bruno finish. At the City Ground, United's momentum stalled with a 1-0 defeat to Nottingham Forest from an early Elanga strike. The derby at Old Trafford brought a gritty 0-0 that steadied the mood. At the Groupama Stadium, a seesaw quarter-final first leg ended 2-2. Zirkzee's late strike looked decisive before a stoppage-time equaliser. Back in the league, Newcastle handed United a heavy 4-1, with Barnes hitting a brace. A breathless Old Trafford second leg sent United to the semi-finals. A 5-4 epic over Lyon sealed deep into extra time. Days later, the league bite returned as Wolves nicked a 1-0 at Old Trafford, though safety was confirmed in the process. At the Vitality Stadium, Højlund's stoppage-time goal salvaged a 1-1 draw with Bournemouth. At San Mamés Barria, a commanding semi-final first leg saw United win 3-0, Bruno Fernandes at the double as the unbeaten European run stretched to 13. The come-down was harsh as Brentford edged a 7-goal scrap 4-3, aided by a Shaw own goal and a Shade brace, despite United's late rally. Old Trafford completed the job in style, a 4-1 over Athletic Club, booking a place in the final as Mount struck twice and the unbeaten run hit 14. Back to domestic reality, West Ham took a clinical 2-0 at Old Trafford. Stamford Bridge yielded little respite, Cucurella deciding a tight 1-0 for Chelsea. At San Mamés Barria, the Europa League Final slipped away as Tottenham edged United 1-0, Johnson's strike denying the trophy. On the season's final day at Old Trafford, Diallo and an Eriksen penalty secured a calm 2-0 over Aston Villa to close the campaign. From a derby flip at the Etihad, Bruno Fernandes from the spot and Diallo at the death for 2-1, to European roars, United kept finding nights to believe even as the league frayed. A 4-1 over Real Sociedad with a Bruno hat-trick, a breathless 5-4 against Lyon, and a commanding 3-0 at San Mamés pushed them to the UEFA Europa League Final, where Tottenham's 1-0 checked the dream. Back home, a difficult league campaign meant bruising home defeats, safety sealed late, and a 15th place finish steadied by a calm 2-0 over Aston Villa on the last day. Bruno Fernandes finished top scorer on 19, wrapping a season of grit, chaos and defiance that read 24 wins, 16 draws and 20 losses. Thanks for watching Scoreflow. Like, share and subscribe for more.